breaking news, in fact, now coming in. Another nightmare has unfolded for passengers as they were harrowed for 90 minutes on board a Jet Airways flight. A wedding party consisting of 80 people were on their way to Bhopal, out of which 17 people showed up late to the airport, as a result of which they were thrown off the flight because of overbooking. The Jet Airways staff began trying to convince other passengers to give up their seats to accommodate the wedding party. To incentivize passengers to deplane, Jet Airways offered a sum of 10,000 rupees to each passenger.
Because people entered in the plane without the security scanning. That's why they
We have to get off for your stupid wedding.
Tell your team.
Tell your people to go on the 5:30 evening flight. No.
You can't hold it. It's a blackmail. It's like the parliament.
This is hijacking.
Some people are standing on the gate and they can stop the airlines. No one can do anything.
These people are not doing anything. What is this?
Call the security and take the decision immediately.
Excuse me, it's not your job. Why don't you just call the person? Let them
Call the security immediately. This is high time.
Yeah.
You don't have any security?
If they have overbooked, can't they afford a small
Don't worry, this is going to be, I'm a reporter, this is going to be all over social media in an hour.
I am to suffer with me. No ma'am, even I am submitting whatever information you've got, the same information we are getting at the same time. At the same time.
So then all you people we have to get off for your stupid.
All right, those of course were some of the passengers there speaking out on board that flight where this incident took place. Senior editor Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan is joining us live with further details. Madhav, this is absolutely bizarre and quite unprecedented. Take us through the details of what has really taken place there on this Jet Airways flight.
Well, one thing is very clear there, that as far as this particular episode is concerned, it's not the first time this has happened. But what is shocking are 2 or 3 important aspects of this. First of all, it's all on camera. There's very little to deny as far as the aircraft or the airline goes in terms of what exactly took place inside that particular aircraft. But what is significant is the fact that the airline chose to delay the flight by 2 hours. And that is really, of course, something that is unfortunate. Now, as far as overbooking goes or offloading passengers goes, that unfortunately does happen today across airlines, across sectors in the country, because clearly the way softwares are designed, there is a possibility that any aircraft could be overbooked by any passenger across any sector across the country. What typically happens is those passengers who come first or at least do the web check-ins are those who are confirmed. In this case, what has happened is that because it was a massive wedding party that was on, and not just the fact that it was a massive wedding party, a section of them came late after their due time of arrival, and that's exactly what led to that entire party being offloaded. This led to a squabble within the airport, and of course we understand that these are people who could have had connections with the rich and powerful, and that's perhaps why the airline management chose to bend over backwards, giving these other passengers who had already boarded the aircraft an option of 10,000 rupees to take a later flight. Now this is something which is highly irregular. Jet Airways is denying this, but saying that there was a situation where they had to use security guards to actually resolve the entire issue, which really leads many to speculate how safe really are passengers and what action will the DGCA and regulators take vis-a-vis this entire matter, because this is something that is a clear violation as far as the rights of passengers are concerned. It's highly irregular for any airline to go up to the plane, ask passengers who boarded, offer them 10,000 rupees and then ask them to deboard and take another flight. That's what raises a number of questions about this entire episode, and we certainly hope that all aviation regulators, given the fact that this matter has been caught on tape and is very clear that this is an issue that affects not one sector, one set of individuals, but this is something that can happen to any passenger across the country. What will the government do about this? What will the DGCA, the aviation regulator, do about this? These are some important questions that need to be put in perspective at this point in time.
Absolutely. Well, stay with us, Madhav. In fact, what we want to do is we want to play out once again that sequence over there of those irate passengers and what they're really saying for our viewers. Let's play that out.
We have to get off for your stupid wedding.
Tell your team.
Tell your people to go on the 5:30 evening flight. No.
You can't hold it. It's a blackmail. It's like the parliament. 40 people
This is
holding cars,
hijacking.
100 people back.
Some people are standing on the gate and they can stop the airlines. No one can do anything.
These people are not doing anything. What is this?
Call the security and take the decision immediately.
Excuse me, it's not your job. Why don't you respond to yourself? Let them
Call the security immediately. This is high time.
Yeah.
You don't have any security?
If they have overbooked,
Yeah, it's
can't they
too
afford
much,
a small
Don't worry,
plane
this
and
is
let
going
them
to
to
be,
fly?
I'm a reporter, this is going to be all over social media in an hour.
I have told you, I am helping you suffer with me. No ma'am, even I am suffering is not happening. Whatever information you've got, the same information we are getting at the same time. At the same time.
Well, let's go back to Madhav, who's still live with us. Madhav, as we can hear from those passengers, obviously there are some relatives of that wedding party who were on that flight, and those, of course, who obviously didn't get the tickets because they showed up late, who have blocked that aero bridge there. They're standing on the aero bridge, so they're not allowing the flight to take off, which is leading to delay, which is obviously irritating the passengers, and the crew is doing nothing about it.
Well, absolutely. What's shocking is that not just the fact that the crew is doing nothing about it, what they're actually doing in that video, and it's not captured in that portion of the clip that you're seeing, but you can look at the other clips that are there on this matter, and we will be bringing them to Uday, is that the air hostesses and other staff are actually requesting passengers to offload. For the few passengers who've actually come late and have been offloaded, they're actually trying to get those who arrived on time and are inside the aircraft to deboard it. This is something which is a huge irregularity, and that's certainly where aviation regulators and the government needs to take notice, because clearly what are the rights that passengers have? I mean, it's one thing to reach the airport late. It's quite another thing if you're already inside the plane and then the plane is not taking off because another set of people have to be accommodated within it. This is where the irregularity lies, and this is where certainly the airline as well as those officials who are present on ground will certainly have to answer, because it's all on tape, it's all been recorded. And who are these 80 passengers? Who are the rich and powerful people who they know who actually managed to wield this kind of power and influence? Those are some of the questions that need to be asked as far as this matter is concerned, and certainly, of course, there will be a response from the government that will have to come on this entire matter.
Absolutely. Has there been any response or clarification as yet from the airline after this incident was reported?
Well, yes, Uday, there has been a statement that has come in from Jet Airways, and the statement very clearly says that there was an incident that occurred due to a software lapse which led to more passengers being overbooked, and because of which they had to offload a section of passengers. This led to a situation where they had to call law enforcement agencies in place, and it's only after that that the matter was resolved. They've apologized for this software lapse, as they call it, but it's a lot more than just a software lapse. This is something that perhaps can happen on any sector, but the due procedures that are required of any airline were not followed, and that's what has led to this situation.
Absolutely. In fact, that clarification, as you're saying, may talk about the carriageway being, of course, evacuated, or the passengers being evicted by calling in law enforcement agencies. But that clarification doesn't talk about, the fact that, as you're telling us, the air hostesses and other airline staff were incentivizing passengers, were putting a price of 10,000 rupees on a ticket being booked on a later flight.
Well, absolutely. There's a fact that as far as passengers are concerned, the fact that they were being offered this money, being given a compensation is one thing if they are being deboarded on the ground. But actually being asked to get off an airplane for a flight that has been delayed by a group of passengers who are late, and then being given money and being offered bribe, or being literally forced off the plane, as some of them claim they were. This is what has led to this situation. That's why you see angry passengers very clearly shouting at the crew and staff over there, saying that this is something that is wrong. How can you do this? Where are security members? They're not present over here. Why is there no adequate security arrangements that have been made? That's very clear as far as the audio is concerned, and this is the reason for the passengers' ire. The fact that those who are responsible for their duties on ground have completely failed in that, and that certainly, of course, is the question that begs an answer at this point in time.
Absolutely.